Hello guys! Today we are going to create a simple minimalistic Minesweeper game in Godot. The goal is just to make the game functional without too many details, so the video stays short. But if you like it, we can create an improved version in a future video. For now, let's start with this first version. First we'll use a GridContainer node to define the layout of our game. Now we need to decide what we'll use as a tile. I think button will work well, since we can easily detect clicks on them. And we can define here the size we want for the buttons. Now let's set the grid size. For this version, we'll go with 4 columns and 4 rows. Let's duplicate the button to get the number of tiles we need. Since we have 4 columns and 4 rows, that means 16 buttons. You can use Ctrl D to duplicate. Now let's center everything. And there we go. Our layout is ready. Let's move on to the script. We'll start by defining some variables. Tiles to hold all the buttons inside the grid. R&D, a random number generator for placing bombs. Bombs is an array to store the bomb positions. Game over, that's just a flag to check if the game has ended. Bomb texture. To preload the bomb image, we'll just play in the bomb tiles. And open to win to track how many save tiles are not open yet, so we know when the player wins. Now let's create the ready function. Here we'll set up most of the logic, since the board is already created when the game starts. First, let's call the randomize to reset the random seed every time the game starts. Then we'll store all the buttons in the tiles variable. To do this, we just call the getChildren on the GridContainer. We can print it just to check if it's working fine, and there we can see the children are there as expected. We will use metadata to store information inside each tile, like whether it's a bomb or how many bombs are around it. For now, let's just set a metadata key called isBomb and set it to false for all buttons. We also can connect each button's pressed signal by code, so we don't need to do it manually in the editor. So when a button is pressed, it will call a function called tileClicked and pass the button's index in the tiles array, so we know exactly which one was clicked. Then let's create this function. If the game isn't over, we'll just print the button's index to the console. So let's test this function. When we click, we can see the position number in the console, so it works. If the game is over and the player clicks a button, we'll simply reload the scene, basically restarting the game. Now let's create a function to place the bombs. Right now no tile is a bomb. We'll define the number of bombs. Let's start with 2 for testing. This function will keep generating bombs until we have the correct number. Each time we'll pick a random tile, but we need to make sure we don't assign a bomb twice to the same tile. We'll use metadata to store informations about each tile. And when a tile is chosen, we'll set isBomb metadata to true. Now let's add another metadata key, text to show. This will hold the number we display when the tile is clicked. It's the number of bombs around. For now it stays empty. Next, we loop through all tiles and calculate how many bombs are adjacent to each one. We'll skip this check for tiles that are bombs themselves. So we'll create a function called checkBombs. It takes the tile's index as a parameter and counts how many bombs are around it. To do that, we'll need another function to check if two tiles are adjacent. And this function will take the tile's index, the bomb's index, and the number of columns. Since we are storing tiles in a simple array, the function will convert indexes into grid coordinates and check if the positions are next to each other. We will also make a small helper function for the index to grid conversion, just to keep it clear. Then in the adjacency check, we'll compare coordinates. If the difference in both x and y is smaller than 1 or equal to 1, then they are adjacent. And we need to make sure that they are not the same tile. We can use this apps function to remove the negative values. And then we return true if the x-axis and the y-axis are smaller or equal 1. But they should not be the same tile, so just to be safe, let's add it here. So let's show the number of the bombs on the tiles and run our project. And there we see it seems to be working. We can see here are the bombs. And the numbers are correct, showing how many bombs are adjacent to the tiles. But of course we can't show the numbers, so let's add them to our metadata we already created for this. So we add number of bombs to our text to show metadata. And now the numbers are hidden. Now we can create a function to reveal the clicked tile. It's simple too. We will just get the clicked tile, then we check if it's not a bomb. And if it's not, the text value of the button will receive the metadata's value that's hidden at the moment. And we can reduce 1 from the open2win variable. And let's make the game be finished if the open2win is equal to 0. Here we have to do something if the tile clicked is a bomb. And what we want to do is set the tile's icon to a bomb. That is the bomb texture we loaded at the beginning. And let's set the game over to true 2. And we have to set the initial value for the open2win variable. So let's add the number of tiles minus the number of bombs. So if the player opens all tiles that are no bombs, he wins. Let's try it. Okay, now we click and get the number of bombs. And so we know for sure there is a bomb and there is another bomb. So basically we won the game. And when we click, the game restarts. It's almost finished. Now let's add some feedback for the player. Let's make it really simple. So let's add a label. We can centralize it. add a game over text. We can increase the font size. And let's keep it not visible for now. Now let's make the label visible when the player wins the game. But then we can change the text to "you won" and set it to visible. And if the player loses, we just need to make it visible because the message is already there. Let's try it. We can open the tiles. There is a bomb, there is a bomb. We won, nice. Let's try again. And so here we seem to have a problem. There is probably a bomb that's not opening. Let's check our code. And the problem is that we are using this text to show metadata to check if the tile is a bomb, but we never set any text to bomb, so it will never be false. So let's use the isBomb metadata to check if it's a bomb or not. Let's try it. And the bomb seems to be working now. Here is for sure a bomb. Let's try again. Everything seems to be working now. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoy it. If so, please leave a comment, like the video, and if you want an improved version of this game, leave a comment saying that, and I will make it in a future video. Thank you for watching. Bye.